Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Good morning and welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio. Craziness continues. Welcome. I'm glad that you are here. Another beautiful day in northern Colorado. Dealing with cats around here on the homestead last night. It was just a gong show. The stars were so beautiful last night, though. Let me tell you, we get out here in the country where there's not a lot of light pollution, and man, I just stood out there for a few minutes, just looking up and thinking about, we actually don't look up enough. And when you are standing out here in the country in the deep darkness at night, you can just see all the stars. Never mind, it was a complete gong show trying to get cats in the barn and stuff like that because the temperatures are dropping and whatnot. I need to put them into the barn at night. Oh my gosh, it's just chaos around here, you guys. But nonetheless, a beautiful night, and woke up to a beautiful morning this morning. I hope you did too. Lots of trouble going on. Like, last night I was on, with my friend Josh Reed, and we talked a little bit about what's going on in the world. And it's just, gosh, it's hard to keep up. I keep saying that, I know, but like truly it is. You know me, I like to start the show talking about what's controlling culture at the moment. What are they wanting all eyes on at the moment? Because that's truly the story that they are using to shape our minds and where we should be making us pay attention to this or that. And man, like it is difficult right now because of course I'm drawn to all the health stories. There's a lot of stuff happening in health, including, my interactions with you on a daily basis that are exciting because lots of people are waking up and, they're taking back their empowerment around their health, right? They're taking back control of their decision making. And that is a direct result of this broken medical model that we are exiting it now. Finally, I think I can truly say that based on my conversations with you every day, more and more people, it's over. It's really over. This medical model is over. And so now we need to just, make sure that people have the tools that they need to move forward in curating health in their bodies. And that's going to take some time. That's really going to take some time. It's going to take repetition. And the culture is slowly changing though. So we have all that going on. And then, things were not good last night in Minnesota. It's just so irritating because I'm sure, I think everybody watched it. I don't need to play it here. Tim Walz just stirring the pot. What a disgrace really to, heighten emotions even higher. His speech was just ridiculous. They're taking pregnant women and throwing them to unmarked vans. Listen, we got people in this country that are dangerous. We got people stealing from us. I don't even want to get started on that, Seeing some stuff from Ilan over there in Omar, right? Gosh, that irritated me. I think she's worth like $48 million now. I mean, these people are the worst of the worst, right? They're like, it's frustrating to me because I'm talking to people every day who are struggling because they're sick. They've had to leave their jobs. They've had to retire early, take early retirement, or they've just had to back out of their job because they don't have the energy anymore to work. They're dealing with severe metabolic function. And the reason for that is because of this horrific food supply that we have. And the fact that nobody guided people towards health. They were actually guiding them towards disease. So we got people that are struggling for money while being sick. And then you have invaders that are coming in and setting up schemes to steal taxpayer money in gobs, right? Like just gobs and gobs of money, like billions and billions of dollars now. And yet the American citizen who's spent their whole life working, but is now sick due to the capture of our so-called health agencies and the capture of our so-called healthcare system, they can't afford, they're barely making it, living check to check. So it's very frustrating, when you hear the amount of money that these politicians who shouldn't even be here are stealing from us. And then you add this whole fiasco that's going down in Minnesota last night. Things were getting really heated. I thought this would be slowing down by now, and it appears like they're trying to throw more gasoline on the fire here and really amp things up. So that's super concerning. Super concerning. So we have that going on. But we have also, huge things that are going to change our society forever. that are taking place too. So it's almost like you don't know where to look. You don't know where to look. And then on top of all that, you're supposed to be peaceful. You're supposed to be living peaceful. You're supposed to be carving out, your own little piece of, the life that you want amongst all this chaos. And last night on the Red Pill Project, I was on with Josh Reed and we got to talking about this, well, a lot of people are calling it a land grab. It's like, oh, this is a land grab. Trump's just trying to grab land. And, on the surface, it does appear that way, if you're not really understanding this massive race that we are in for AI. And who would really understand it? Because nobody's talking about it. I mean, I've been talking about it. Josh has been talking about it. Lots of podcasters have been talking about it. But like mainstream, not really. Little fluff story here, little fluff story there about, oh, look at this cool robot. Or, oh, how cool. AI can do this now. But they're not talking about the fact that the race to AI and the race to the digital revolution could go full scale World War III. Why? Because of the need for energy. Who will be able to build the infrastructure first? Who is going to be able to get dibs on resources to be able to build the infrastructure? I mean, I've been covering every time I see it. We're seeing infrastructure that is being taxed already. And the infrastructure is having to be built out bigger. And who is shouldering the burden of that if it isn't the consumer of energy? You. People in Massachusetts getting bills for electricity bills for $1,500 for 1 month. Because they do not want to shoulder the burden of building up the infrastructure for these data centers that are incoming. No, they're going to pass that over to you. And so, we have a lot of things going on at once here. And I just feel like, hold on to your hat because we don't know where this is going and how fast it's going to go. But this, a lot of this stuff that's happening right now is directly tied to this agenda. This is Larry Fink. Take a listen.
Biggest question from central banks is what is the role of tokenization and digitization? How quickly should they think about digitizing their own currency? What does that mean for the role of the dollar? If every currency digitizes and we have, what does that mean for bank payments? What does that mean for the payment companies like MasterCard and Visa? All these are being questioned right now. I think we spend so much time talking about AI. We're not spending enough time talking about how quickly we're going to tokenize every financial asset and the opportunity we're going to have a digital wallet and moving ETFs and other things through a digital wallet. And I think that's going to happen worldwide very rapidly. And I think most countries are ill-prepared for that and underappreciate how technology is changing that, not unlike how technology is changing AI and other things. It will be changing the technology around the plumbing.
The question is, how do we get enough energy? Because think about it now, how much time people spend on their phones. I think, the last average I saw, was like 7 point something hours that people were spending on their phones daily while, working, driving kids to school, all of this other time that you spend outside of, the portal, the digital world. Listen, they're looking to close that gap. They're looking to solve sleep, everybody. They're looking to solve sleep so that more time can be spent online because this is the universe that they are building, a synthetic version of what exists in reality. They want more eyes on the virtual reality. And we're seeing this morphing, right? I've been talking about it for a long time now. This morphing and of the brain that's adapting to the digital universe, the digital world. And those of us left in the analog world, in reality, we're finding it hard to connect with those who have given their consciousness over. Stay tuned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Support the show. You can purchase our buy one, get one free deals, January specials on the website, naturallyinspiredstore.com. There's a little tab there. It says view our January specials. If you click on that, we have over 25 products that are right now buy one, get one free. So take full advantage of that, whether it's the liquid minerals or the aloe vera or the antioxidants or the enzymes. There are a ton of fabulous products there that would benefit your wellness and maybe even your family's wellness. I like to stock my cabinet. I don't know about you. And so when buy one, get one is happening, I am stocking up for sure. So take advantage at naturallyinspiredstore.com. If you have any questions at all, just text me about the products, about, the course that you're on in your optimum health journey, whatever. You can text me 720-303-8868. Yeah. So, what else is going on? Of course, Greenland has been center topic. There's also been reports, and again, really hard to discern what's truth, what's fiction, but I was able to confirm that Russia seems to be preparing for war. They are prepping for war, and Tucker Carlson confirmed that. Take a listen to this.
Yourselves, because this is the global headline. Russia is actively considering the use of nuclear weapons against Europe, not against Kiev, against Europe, specifically the UK and Germany, just taking out the UK and Germany with nuclear weapons. That's a fact. Now, we're going to explain why we know that that's true in a moment. And at the end of this open, we're going to play an interview we did a few hours ago with a man called Sergei Karnagov, who is a longtime political advisor to Vladimir Putin and one of the most famous public intellectuals in Russia, been around for about 35 years, advised Boris Yeltsin, 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago. And in that interview, he says point blank, yes, if the Ukraine war continues at this tempo for a year or two more, we, speaking apparently on behalf of the Russian government, on behalf of his friend Putin, or at least someone who's very familiar with President Putin's thinking, we, Russia, will eliminate the UK and Germany with nuclear weapons. Now, that's a
yeah, that indeed is a headline. What would be, why is everything just, the heat is getting turned up So much stuff happening. Why were they doing that? Well, of course, many people, and this isn't really my lane to be in geopolitics, but many people I follow and listen to have been, talking about this dynamic that it's, if United States doesn't partner with Russia, then we don't have the power necessarily to keep China in check. Vice versa. If China partners with Russia, then on our own, we're going to have trouble, And so, again, we have to look at this thing, I think, through the eyes of the quickly advancing technology and how that's going to be changing the world. Isn't it odd, though? Isn't it odd that, there hasn't been a lot of open conversation about this? Like, it just blows my mind. Like I said the other day, I think if you went into my local grocery store here in my small town and you started throwing around some things, talking about AI and what it was going to do and what they can do with AI, I don't think many people would know what we're even talking about. And yet we have some very key power players here advancing because of the need for energy. We are in the energy phase, the infrastructure phase, and people are going to start getting very, aggressive about capturing resources. Especially here in America, because this is the freest place on the planet. This is like nobody's coming to save America, as it's said time and time again. And so if America is no longer a superpower because we cannot secure the resources to advance AI and to advance the digital revolution, well, then we are vulnerable to being governed, heavily influenced by China or Russia. So I think that's the aggressiveness of the land grab. And I think Trump has known this all along. And I don't think it's a joke that he would like to make Canada the 51st state. It makes sense to me now because land is needed. Resources are needed. What are they needed for? Oh, stuff like this. Watch this. So now it's getting to the point just where your average Joe, can create these videos in an entirely different identity, and they're undetectable. They're undetectable. They're so imagine, just blows your mind when you start to think about warfare and this type of power. In the old days of propaganda and previous wars, historically, they would paper an area. Like in the Middle East, say they would paper an area with propaganda leaflets. And that's how they started to shape the minds of the citizenry, right? And shape the culture. That was like psychological warfare. This is like next level, right? Next level. And then, of course, the saturation as well, because, I can only throw so many pamphlets from a plane. But let me tell you, 15-second clips going viral all over TikTok, all over Instagram, all over Twitter. Sometimes I just sit and I wonder how much of anything is true. And then what's the angle on this? What's the angle on this? What's the objective? What's the desired outcome here? What are they getting from spreading this story? Why is this story getting so much attention while another story is getting very little attention, right? I start to ask the question during this, all of this craziness with, Greenland and the race to capture energy And of course, we got the whole Venezuela thing going on as well. You start to wonder, are certain countries going to survive this? Is Canada going to survive it as its own entity anymore? Because this is a battle with the big boys. This is a battle with the big boys, and I think Trump's not effing around. He knows he doesn't have the time. He's not even trying to propagandize you and say, well, we went in there to change for a regime change. And, no, he's telling you, we want their oil. Listen to this. This is Trump.
I can't even, is that the correct number? 30 million barrels. You hear that, Peter? Of oil was given to us by Venezuela. That's a lot of oil. It's about $4 billion worth, and it's on its way to the United States right now. We're going to be working with Venezuela. We're going to be making the decision as to which oil companies are going to go in, that we're going to allow to go in. We're going to cut a deal with the companies. We'll probably do that today or very shortly thereafter. The plan is for them to spend at least $100 billion to rebuild the capacity and the infrastructure necessary. Venezuela has also agreed that the United States will immediately begin refining and selling up to 50 million barrels of Venezuelan crude oil, which will continue indefinitely. We're all set to do it. The departure of Maduro makes it possible. An incredible future for both nations, Venezuela and the United States, in which we will more closely integrate the economies of two major energy powers in the Western Hemisphere. And if we didn't do this, China would have been there and Russia would have been there. Maybe they both would have been there together, but they're not going to be there now. One thing I will tell them, and I will tell you, that we are open for business. China can buy all the oil they want from us there or in the United States. Russia can get all the oil they need from us. And the other thing people ask about the second wave, I don't think it's going to be necessary. We have an armada, a giant armada like nobody's ever seen in that part of the world. And it's stationed off the coast. And we are getting along so well with the people that are involved in representing Venezuela that I don't think we're going to have any I don't think it's going to be necessary to do the second wave. We were planning on a second wave, but the first wave was so powerful and so good and so strong.
I think he's just unapologetic about this topic, about getting in there to secure energy for America's future, because there is no other way. And I think I really can't, nobody likes war. Nobody likes war. And I'm praying that it doesn't get to that point as this race escalates for infrastructure and development to support the digital revolution. I pray that it won't go kinetic. Please, Lord God, please. I pray that it does not go kinetic. But he's justified. And I think, we've had it so good for so long. And I say that generally, but compared to, our grandparents going through the Great Depression and a lot of the other hardships that many of the pioneers of this country went through, we haven't been through that level of hardship. And so I think it's hard for a lot of people to even understand the necessity of war and aggressiveness and what it means to secure freedom for America. We're like our freedom that we've had forever. I think people don't even think about it. It's a luxury to not know about war. Stay tuned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia. We'll be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
If you are a new customer or an old customer of Naturally Inspired, I want to invite you to take advantage of our concierge service, meaning I give you personalized service to place an order. Maybe you ordered the collagen last month and you're probably starting to run low. I would highly suggest you reorder, but maybe you don't know where to get to your account. Where do I go? What do I do? What's my password? All that stuff. No worries. Just text me, 720-303-8868, and we can schedule something so I can give you my undivided attention and concierge service for booking or for purchasing, rather. All you got to do is book an appointment with me, and we can sit down together and go through what you're taking. I can help you reorder the collagen. You definitely don't want to stop taking the collagen. Full maximum results come over time. And I know I got results like pretty quickly with the collagen, but it was really at the 90-day point of me taking the collagen where I was like, okay, yeah, this is like, we're on a different trajectory here. We are getting more mobile. The skin's improving. A lot of things are happening at the 90-day point. So keep on it. If you need to reorder, but you need some help, just text me 720-303-8868 and I'm happy to help. Or you can go to naturallyinspiredstore.com and book some time with me, an assessment, and we can sit down together and make sure that you get that reordered. So many things here are at play. I start to think, like, are these smaller countries going to be able to handle the pressure? Right? Because the economic warfare that's going to be going on. I mean, let's face it. Look at what Trump and the U.S. is doing to Canada with tariffs and, negotiations and trade deals. He's got no reason to help out. He is focused on getting what America needs for the future. And I think we've been super spoiled, for a lack of a better word, in the fact that, we've had the luxury of opposing war in our lifetime. Like, yeah, it's easy to say, we hate war, we don't want war. And you see this on the streets in Minnesota right now, right? The luxury of being able to protest strangers, these strangers that are in our country that are stealing from us. And these people are causing complete and utter havoc for our state officials that are there doing their job. I mean, we have laws for this, right? You can't be in the country illegally, and you certainly can't be stealing taxpayer money through democratic schemes, right? Lots of illegal behavior going on here. We have to clean things up. We have to know who's in the country, what they're doing. We've got to punish people who break the law. I know, it's crazy. But if we don't punish people who break the law, then guess what happens? What we found out is happening. Mass fraud. Mass fraud. That's what happens when there's no consequences for what you're doing. So, it ain't pretty. These videos coming out of Minnesota ain't pretty. And I think this is like The problem here is because we've been so spoiled and for so long, we haven't had to really experience discomfort and, let's face it, being an adult. Adults know that freedom isn't free and that sometimes, there's no reasoning with the unreasonable. That's what I'm thinking every time I see these idiot protesters out there, fighting for the right for Somali daycare, a fake Somali daycare. You're going up against your fellow citizen over a stranger who's running a Somali daycare and siphoning money out of taxpayer dollars. You can't reason with the unreasonable. And so what do? Do you just let it continue? Like, we have to have a purge at some point, right? We have to have a purge because we're going to lose our whole country if we don't lay down the law. We have to have order. We have to have some form of order. And it just saddened me last night to be seeing the videos coming out. Again, it just seems to be escalating in a time where we've got stuff going on, internationally that is changing things as well. At the same time, it's just like, holy, you don't quite know where to look at this point. One of the things that concerns me too, given, I guess we're going to get to the point where it's like, well, buck up or check out, really, because, it's going to get a little tense and there's going to be a certain demographic that are just they're just going to become useless in the efforts. And so you have to look at, like, are we ready for this kind of adversity? I can tell you, I don't think so. We stick to ourselves a lot. We have our community and we interact, of course, with our community and stuff, but we're out here on our farm and, we work here from the farm studio and we work on our land and we go out into the real world from time to time, because you have to. But I tell you, every time we go out to do something, I'm just like, sometimes I'm just blown away how far we have fallen from the standards of even the 80s. Just a few short decades ago. You go into, some type of business, and from growing up, you have this expectation of a standard. And then you're just about blown away. The person helping you is in pajamas. Maybe they've got some face tattoos and, piercings and blue hair. And these are supposed to be professionals. What is happening? What has happened? How did this slide happen? And I mean, it's on every level. I'm not just talking about retail here. I'm talking about some of the unprofessionalism, of teachers, unprofessionalism of police officers, unprofessionalism of finance people in banking. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I think even, restaurants and places like that, we've just the subpar quality that we're accepting nowadays. I think it's Matt Walsh who is actually covering this topic. If I saw something a couple of weeks back where he did a whole show on how, America's standard of living, quality of living is just tanking, meaning restaurant food, is terrible. The quality of food in your grocery store, terrible. Interactions with professionals, terrible. And so I think we can all agree on that. Customer service. What? Is there still customer service? I don't think so. Very rarely. It's to the point now. And I said this to my daughter the other day. She's like, you should just ask somebody, Mom. I'm like, why? Because I feel like if I'm in a store, I have to ask somebody, it's almost more aggravating because the person will look at you with no effort at all and just go, yeah, I don't think we have that. I'm pretty sure we don't. And they just blow you off. And then you walk down the aisle somewhere else and you find it yourself. So it's almost like it's so not helpful to ask for help. It's very rare. It's very rare that you get somebody who's motivated in their job, that actually takes pride in their work and is willing to help you nowadays. I wish it wasn't so. And every once in a while, but it's not the norm to get somebody who's eager to actually help you. This temperature, this climate of behavior that we're living in has me pretty worried, considering what's at stake right now and how tense everything is. We have tension here on our soil in between our own citizens. You know, it's like teetering on the brink of civil war over there in Minnesota. We got that going on. And then we got things like Russia contemplating nuclear war. And we have this base of citizenry that is walking around in their pajamas on a good day. You know, I guess, it's that old saying, right? Hard times build strong men, and good times build weak men. And we're dealing with the latter right now, and we are going to be forced, to turn it around. And it's kind of like, wow. I would say get your kids ready, right? I'm not saying I don't want to be a warmonger here saying we're going to war, but I think there's some very, pivotal times coming up where it's going to change the way we do things so drastically. And all growth is usually pretty painful. This type of growth could be very, very painful. And maybe, I don't know. I always like to stick on the bright side, right? Maybe this is a change that we need. We need a slap of reality. We've been bickering over the trivial for so long. Oh, my gender. Oh my, I'm a cat. Meow. We're not gonna have time for that now. We're not going to have time for you to contemplate what gender you are anymore, because actually Russia's contemplating nuclear war. And if we don't get our resources in order for infrastructure for the digital revolution, then we may be ruled by China. I don't think China is going to be having it with your gender confusion. Your social credit score. You'll be working for your social credit score at that point. What a wake-up call that would be, right? What a wake-up call that would be. Wow. Here we are, 2026, coming in like a banger. Stay tuned for your naturally inspired moment. We'll be right back.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
Schedule your free assessment with me. Do it at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Let's sit down together. Book your 30-minute assessment, which usually ends up being an hour after, because you just need time. You need time to explain background, and I need time to listen so I can get a full scope of what's going on. And then together we devise a plan, you moving forward to reclaim your optimum health. Book your free assessment with me at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Okay, for today's Naturally Inspired Moment, do you need a breakthrough? I'm sitting here and I'm talking about the fact that, there's hard times, I think, coming. Good things are changing. It's not all bad news here. But these are tense times, for the race to the digital revolution and power and control and all of that stuff. These are tense times. And so now more than ever, we need to be working on ourselves. We need to be preparing. We need strength. We need to be empowered. And so, there's this disconnect. There's a ton of information out there, right? You want to know something about your health, you can find the answer. Right? You can find the answer. There's so much information out there. And we tend to know, what we need to do to be healthy. I think most people are like, well, you got to eat right. Now, there may be some conflict on what eating right is, right? But once you get that figured out, okay, I need to eat healthy, right? I need to move my body, right? I need to sleep. I need to get healthy rest. I need to manage stress. Like, people know what they need to do to curate health in the body for the most part. A few tweaks here and there. But there's a disconnect between knowing what you should do and doing it. There's this gap here. And listen, I'm not shaming anybody. We all do this. It's like the human condition, right? We learn something, but execution is a whole different ballgame. Why is that? It's because of our thought patterns. It's because of the emotions we have around our thinking. And the tricky part of it is we can't always identify our thinking patterns. We can't always identify why our emotions are the way they are and how they control our actions. The way we feel has more control over what we do than anything else. I don't feel like doing that today. What came before I don't feel like doing that today? What was it? What was the triggering thought, that sent you down a series of thoughts that landed you at opting out of doing what you needed to do? That you need to do. That's the trick. So we can get caught in this. We can get caught in excuses to the point where if we heard somebody else talk or say their excuses, we'd be like, that's an excuse. But when it comes out of our mouth, that's not an excuse. The thing with me is I've got this, or the thing with me is but if you heard somebody else say that, you'd be like, well, they're making excuses. But for some reason, when we do it ourselves, we don't clue into it. We don't clue into our own excuses. So if you are in need of a breakthrough, this is what I've got for you today. 5 ways to incite a breakthrough and get the results you want. A breakthrough, it isn't just luck. It's not going to happen on its own. It doesn't just happen. Okay, there's a lot of buildup and work that goes into a breakthrough. It's not waiting for conditions to change. Oh my gosh. If you're going to wait for your circumstances to change, there's no control over your breakthrough at all. It is, we can't control our circumstances. We can't control other people. We can only control our own behavior and how we think and feel about things. A breakthrough happens when you shift something internally that unlocks the external results. So here are the 5 ways to incite one on purpose. Number 1, get radically honest with yourself. Breakthroughs begin with truth. Ask yourself, what am I tolerating that I shouldn't be? Ask yourself, what am I telling myself? What stories am I telling myself instead of focusing on facts? Clarity collapses confusion. When you name the real problem, momentum follows. Listen, here's a classic example. I've tried everything. And nothing works. And why do I even bother? I give up. This is stupid. I've tried everything. Is that true? Is that true? My metabolism is broken. It's just not going to be for me. These are lies you're telling yourself, and they are excuses. Nobody else will tell you that. But I will, because I want results for you. There is another way. There is another way, and it doesn't matter what's happened in the past. This is the present, and you can control your future. So get radically honest with yourself. Start looking at those excuses, okay? Because that's what they are. They're excuses. Number 2. Change the input. You cannot get new outcomes with the same inputs. That means you've got to get inspired by new information. You've got to have new conversations. Step outside of your box. I don't want to talk to that lady. I don't even know her. Why would I book an assessment? I don't want to talk to her. I just told a stranger. I mean, that'll be weird. Do it. Let's see where it goes. Have a new conversation. Think a new pattern. Okay. New environments. Oh yeah. Push yourself. Go to that sound bath that go by yourself. You don't need a security blanket. Every time you go somewhere else, you have a new environment. You're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. This creates new neural pathways. This creates change. So purposefully put yourself in new environments. What you consume mentally, emotionally, physically determines what you create. Number 3, decide before you feel ready. You ain't never going to feel ready. It's kind of like having a baby, right? I mean, you never really feel ready. You're like, am I really going to do this? Am I really going to do this? Like, are we going to do this? This is what, oh, you should wait till you have this much money in the bank. Oh, you should wait till you have this house. Oh, you should wait till you have this car. Oh, you should wait for this. You should wait. You can wait forever. You can wait forever. Start. Certainly, I'm so glad I didn't wait on so many different things. Just go. You will not get a switch that goes off in you that says, dink, you're ready to begin now. It's not going to happen. No matter what it is. If you've got that nagging thing that's like, I should really start this. You know what I really want to do? I really want to do this. But, and it keeps coming back up. But you just keep going, well, it's not the right time. Start. This is your formal invitation to start. Number 4, take one uncomfortable action. Breakthroughs rarely come from comfort. They come from one bold, aligned action. Talk. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Stop talking about it and take the action. Action is everything. Once you start the motion, you take action on something and it, one day at a time. But that momentum will carry you. So make the call, set the boundary, start before it's perfect. I guarantee you it doesn't matter where you start on something. You get, 3 years into it, 4 years into it or whatever. You're going to look back to the start and you're going to think it's crap because it is. Because you didn't know what you were doing. You're new. But I promise you with repetition, it's going to work out. You're going to be able to decipher what's working for you, what's not working for you. You'll leave some stuff behind. You'll get some new information, and that will improve you. It's a process. Nobody starts perfect. Everybody starts new. Action creates evidence, and evidence creates belief. Oh, I did that. I ran. I worked out. Oh, I went here and I'm okay, right? I did this. I did that. Oh, I can do this. Practice creates confidence. And action creates evidence. Evidence creates belief. Number 5. This is a good one. Raise your standard. Raise your standard. Good Lord. I have heard, I don't know how many times in this is this irritates me. When people say, you get that wherever you go though. No. You get that where you tolerate that. So if you're going to tolerate substandard care for your health, you're going to get substandard care for your health. If you are going to tolerate crappy behavior in your relationships, being, disrespected or not appreciated, and you never speak up about that and you never have a meaningful conversation about it that's productive, you're going to continue to get that. You've got to raise your standard. This is the acceptable. We teach people how to treat us. And if you're teaching people that they can treat you however they like, you really don't have anybody to blame but yourself. Really. I know that's harsh, but listen, you're the only controllable variable here. You cannot control what other people do. You can't. You can't control your circumstances most of the time. There's a lot you can't control. The thing that you can control is what you tell yourself. What you tell yourself generates feelings and emotions inside your body. And those feelings and emotions will control your behavior. It will control your actions. So every day you have the opportunity to build yourself up. Yes, I'm going to do this today. I'm going to go work out because after I work out, I'm going to feel great. I'm going to keep my promises to myself. When I keep my promises to myself, I build my self-respect. When you do not keep your promises to yourself, guess what happens to your self-respect? Goes down. Choose to build your self-respect. Curate a breakthrough. We all need one. And the time is now. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia. I'm so glad you're joining me today. Guess what? Dean Lerwick is coming up at the bottom of the next hour. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.
Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome back. This is Naturally Inspired Radio, heading into the second hour. If you missed the first hour, you got to go back and listen to it. All the chaos that's going on in the world, the race for the energy that is needed for the digital revolution has got things tense, and so much other tension going on as well. And of course, in our own country. So you got to go back, check that out. And so at the bottom of the hour, we have Dean Lerwick joining us from Pumpkin Creek Ranch. We're going to be talking to him a little bit about the economics of ranching, how that's impacting our food supply, and so much more. I just love Dean. He's always so great to talk to. Such a calm, cool, collective dude. He does great work. His family operates Pumpkin Creek Ranch. So check out the specials there. If you're looking for a high quality beef producer, you guys, this is it. Pumpkin Creek Ranch tastes phenomenal. It's actually the only beef that my daughter will eat because it does have a very distinct flavor. It's delicious. It's delicious. So check it out at pumpkincreekranchco.com. They ship all over the place. So get yourself some. You got to get yourself a direct-to-consumer source. This is the way moving forward. I want to remind you about your American culture. Gosh, given everything that's happening, this is like serious business here. We have to be, yesterday we talked about claiming your generation, right? Unapologetically. And I hope that like catches on in some way. I think we're all feeling it, that, hey, stop telling me what to do. Just stop. But it's getting serious here, we need to unite as a country now like we haven't in years. And one way to do that is to focus on the things that we have achieved and the great things that we've done in this country. And so as I was preparing for today's show, I was like, oh, what are some, and guess what came to mind? Have you ever toured the Hoover Dam? Oh, if you haven't done that, I think we've been there twice. I think we went once when the kids were pretty small, and then I think we went again when they were a bit older. So this is an incredible tour, and the stories behind the Hoover Dam are just amazing, very inspiring. So anyway, I wanted to remind you that we do hard things here in this country. Tough people, right? The pioneers of our country, obviously tough people. And I know it's only the movies, only reenactment, but like if you haven't watched like 1890, which is a show on TV about the pioneers of this country, it just gives you a little snippet, and I'm sure it probably doesn't even do it justice, but what an incredibly hard existence. And so we may be soft now, but what we're capable of is pretty incredible. So check this clip out. This is the building of the Hoover Dam.
The Boulder Dam, and now known as the Hoover Dam. It was the largest dam in the world at the time of its completion. Standing at a height of 726 feet, the dam provides massive amounts of hydroelectric power, while also controlling water flow during flooding and drought. Construction began in 1931 and was completed by 1936, costing a total of $120 million for the dam, power plant, and generators combined. The sale of electrical power generated by the dam paid for itself by 1987. In total, over 21,000 workers contributed to its construction, though sadly, more than 100 workers lost their lives during this.
Incredible. So the workforce was over 21,000 workers total participated during construction. Of course, the majority were American citizens, many coming from Nevada, Arizona, California, and other states hit hard by the Great Depression. The project was a lifeline for unemployed Americans at the time. Immigrants and ethnic groups, there were a few that participated, but the bulk were already U.S. residents. Mexican-American workers were present, but they were often assigned low-paying jobs and didn't stay around too long. And many lived in even segregated housing during the time of the build. Built under the Bureau of Reclamation, constructed by a private consortium called Six Companies, Inc., authorized by Congress as part of the Boulder Canyon Project. Conditions on the job, extremely dangerous. Intense heat of 120 degrees sometimes, carbon monoxide exposure in tunnels. There were falls, there were explosions, there were equipment accidents, and 100 workers officially died. And many historians believe the real number was actually higher than that. Despite all this, though, the dam was completed in 2 years, and it was completed ahead of schedule. And the Hoover Dam stands as a symbol of American labor and engineering, and a project built before modern machinery and safety standards, proof of what a domestic workforce can accomplish even during economic collapse. It wasn't outsourced, it wasn't automated, it was built by people, mostly Americans, largely Americans, with grit, skill, and necessity. So, if we can get something like that done, I think, and during a hard time as well. I think it's proof positive of the character that, the character of the people, that blood is running through your veins still. Right. And sometimes we forget that because we're so detached from it. But now would be a good time. We've got so much cleanup to do in terms of how, divided we have been over these last years. And now would be the time to come together because there's real risk here now, especially with some of the things that are going on geopolitically. Anyway, let's get to some stories because we have a lot of stories to get through before the bottom of the hour when Dean is going to be joining us. Some good news coming out of this administration. Again, Brooke Rollins explains how eating healthy is cost effective, actually. Take a listen.
And this is not a mole. Have you ever noticed someone with...
That's not the right clip. That's okay. Well, it's the one with the administration there. I didn't send it. Sorry, Jason. I guess maybe that one didn't go through. I guess not. Darn it. Okay, well, the topic of this story with Brooke Rollins was that eating healthy, because a lot of the excuses around health food and some excuses, some food that is considered healthy food is more expensive, especially when we're talking about organic and whatnot. But if you're going in from a change to highly processed food to high protein food, and that's the first step, then eating things like ground beef, probably being the most expensive of meats these days, ground pork, ground chicken, ground turkey. She explains that these meals can come together for $3 sometimes per portion. Right. So I know when she said that, I was like, what? That's crazy. But per portion, you're thinking about, per meal. I don't know. We have this thinking around what a meal should look like, where it's supposed to be, a little bit of protein, a fair amount of starch, and then a little bit of produce, right? A little bit of vegetables. And we really have to change our thinking around building, I call it building a plate, where we should be looking at our plate more so in layers, like we're building layers. We have some volume on the bottom layer, like vegetables. Grilled vegetables, sauteed vegetables, greens, that can be your volume on the bottom of your plate. And then, the star of your plate or the focal point of your plate should be protein, because protein is, we're shooting for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. So protein has to be the star of your show. So whether it's beef, pork, chicken, whatever it is, fish, shellfish, that should be the bulk of your plate. And then on top of that, you want to add your healthy fats in. So if you're doing, chicken burgers, you want to add your whole fat dairy cheese on top of that, maybe some sauteed mushrooms, some sauteed onions, garlic, and then spices, medicinals, herbs and spices can be used. And we should be looking at our plate in that sort of layer: volume, protein, fat, and flavor. For satiety. We should be eating for satiety, eating for hormonal balance, which responds to ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, and then leptin, which is your satiety hormone, which we talk about here all the time. Anyway, that's how we should be looking at building a plate instead of, having to build a starch as a separate dish, build a vegetable as a separate dish, build and then a protein as a separate thing. So just a little bit of a paradigm shift in the way we look at, building a meal. So it can be done cheaper than you think. especially if you access things like ground chicken, right? Ground pork. You can make these things into burgers. You can make these things into meatballs. You can use them for so many different things. It's really versatile. But if you need help with this, that's why you need to get into the Naturally Inspired community, because we talk about all this stuff all the time. And I've been doing this a long time, so I got a lot of tricks up my sleeve. I guarantee you I can find you a swap for almost anything that is a healthier version of anything that comes in a bag, a box, that sits on a shelf. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Welcome back. Check out our specials on our monthly flip book. All you got to do is go to naturallyinspiredstore.com and you can check out a nice little flip book where you can go through and view all of our different specials for January. Of course, when you become a customer of Naturally Inspired, you get into the community. You get our weekly wellness workshops on Tuesday nights. You get my one-on-one coaching through my health text line. You get to do an assessment where we can sit down and devise a plan for you on your optimum health journey. So purchase today at naturallyinspiredstore.com. And I look forward to seeing you in the community. There's some changes. Do you have a ring cam? Do you have a ring cam? Because there's been some changes. And, with everything going on, I just don't know how many people are sitting down to read the terms of service of this stuff, If you're like me, you barely know how it works. And then you've got to try to figure out all of the things that it can do and keep track of all the terms of service changes and whatnot. So recent changes in Ring. So Ring is owned by Amazon, and it makes a popular home security camera and doorbell cameras. And traditionally, Ring used its Neighbors app to let users share video and posts about local safety. But there's recent changes. Flock has now entered the chat, okay? Flock and Ring partnership. In late 2025, Ring has announced a partnership with Flock Safety that allows law enforcement agencies using Flock platforms to request video footage from Ring users to help with investigations. Makes this possible via Ring's Neighbors app with details like date, time, and location. Participation by Ring users is supposed to be optional, but you have to opt out of it. You have to turn off the notifications. So in other words, Ring footage could be shared with police through Flock's system if the homeowner chooses to help with a case. So this matters because privacy, of course. Critics, including privacy advocates and lawmakers, worry this creates new pathways for surveillance beyond individual homes that could expand law enforcement access to private videos without warrants. It can be used in ways not originally intended when homeowners install Ring devices. And of course, it could potentially impact civil liberties and be misused. So there's a lot of things that you got to be aware of when it comes to this new system. Flock's system already logs huge volumes of vehicle data because it scans billions of license plates a month and lets police track patterns across communities. Pairing with its access to doorbell camera footage, even more, right? Could potentially broaden the scope of surveillance. Potentially. And I think it's safe to say that it would. So it's just an extension of tech. Let me tell you, the surveillance state that everybody's talking about, oh, the surveillance state is coming. The surveillance state is coming. No, friends, the surveillance state is here. We all know our phones are listening to us. It's just a matter of when that data will be used against us, I think, at this point. I sure would love to hear some talk from this administration about some kind of digital bill of rights. I don't know, I don't know if we'll ever get anything like that in time. We can hope and pray that we do, because we certainly need it. All right. I want to go to this real quick because I talk about this all the time. I talk about insulin resistance all the time. And many of you who have met with me, I've asked you point blank, do you know what insulin resistance is? And, some people do, some people don't. But I often ask about this. So this is a great visual for everybody. When I ask about skin tags, I'm not just asking about, what you would think is just a skin tag. This is actually what I'm talking about. Take a look at this.
And this is not a mole. Have you ever noticed someone with this going on their skin? Especially on their neck, armpits, or groin area? These are not something that you're just born with. If you put apple cider vinegar or even wart remover on it, or God forbid, you go to the dermatologist and you have these burnt, zapped, or snatched off, all it's going to do is cause you a lot of pain. And it's just going to come back anyways unless you fix the underlying reason. And they are not caused by friction or anything like that. These are caused by a hormone imbalance, a disease called insulin resistance. Insulin is a growth hormone. And when there's too much insulin in the body, it causes things that shouldn't be there to start to grow, like excess skin growth and these things called skin tags. When your blood sugar levels are always high, it will lead to this thing called insulin resistance. It also causes a lot of inflammation, which damages your skin cells and makes skin conditions like skin tags or skin pigmentation a lot more likely. Insulin resistance goes mostly undiagnosed. However, skin issues like these are early warning.
Do you know anybody with those skin conditions? Certainly you probably do, because I see people walking around with those early warning signs of insulin resistance all the time. I see them in grocery stores. I see them in, gas stations, wherever I'm at. I see them everywhere. And that's directly related to the standard American diet. High carbohydrate, high sugar diet. It leads to insulin resistance. And so many people have these conditions, and now you know what they are and why they are there. So now you know, time to do something about it, right? Let's work towards improving our metabolic health. High protein diet, healthy fats, what we just talked about. One of the things that you can do, which is today's health topic actually, is increase your omega-3 intake. Today I want to talk about, for our health topic, about the fact that omega-6 fats are too high in the standard American diet and why omega-3s matter so much. So it's really about the ratio and the ratio of omega-6s versus omega-3s. Okay. We have easy to get omega-6s. They're everywhere. Not so easy to get omega-3s. And the ratio in our standard American diet has created this ratio that's completely out of balance. Historically, humans consumed omega-6 to omega-3 fats in roughly a 1-to-1 ratio, or maybe a 4-to-1 ratio. But today, in the standard American diet, it's closer to 15 to 25 to 1. 15 to 25 to 1. That means we're getting 15 to 25 omega-6s versus to 1 omega-3. heavily skewed toward omega-6s. And what does that do? That imbalance alone shifts the body towards inflammation. So industrial seed oils flood the diet. Omega-6 fats dominate modern foods because of cheap industrial seed oils like soybean, corn, canola, cottonseed. And these oils are now in restaurant food. They're in packaged snacks. They're in salad dressings. They're even in health foods. And they drive omega-6 levels and the intake far beyond what the body can handle. Omega-6s are pro-inflammatory in excess. So they aren't inherently bad, but in excess, it's that ratio they convert into inflammatory signaling molecules. So chronic high omega-6 intake is linked to joint pain, cardiovascular strain, metabolic dysfunction, insulin resistance, hormonal imbalance. Omega-3s, by contrast, help resolve inflammation, not create it. We don't eat enough omega-3 foods anymore. Omega-3s are found in wild-caught fatty fish, pasture-raised eggs, grass-fed beef, algae sources. And modern diets have moved away from these foods and factory farming, further reducing omega-3 content in animal products. Omega-3s support brain health. They support mood. They support nervous system, especially critical for brain cell membranes, cognitive function, mood regulation, nervous system balance. Low omega-3 intake is associated with brain fog. It's associated with anxiety, mood swings, poor stress, resilience. Omega-3s improve cellular communication. Every cell membrane in your body is made up of fat. Omega-3s keep those membranes flexible and responsive, allowing hormones to signal properly, nutrients to enter cells, waste to exit efficiently. Excess omega-6 stiffen the membranes of your cells, and that impairs cellular communication. You can't out-supplement a bad ratio, but you can correct it. The solution isn't just adding omega-3s, although supplementing with omega-3s makes a huge difference. You've got to change your diet too. You've got to lower omega-6 while you supplement and increase omega-3s. So that means eliminating seed oils, choosing healthy grass-fed beef and pasture-raised foods, prioritizing omega-3 rich fats, supporting intake with high-quality omega-3 supplements. Of course, we have two options right now. We have buy one, get one free jellies. Many people, they can't take omega-3s because they say the fish lasts all day. You know what I'm talking about? They get the fish burps. They don't like that. I have a solution for that. You can go to the Naturally Inspired store, click on the January specials. We have buy one, get one free jellies right now in omega-3. For people who don't have a problem with that, we have pharmaceutical grade omega-3s, which I love, 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 love. These are the best ones. I have found that I can tell a difference when I'm not taking them versus when I'm taking them. They are pharmaceutical grade. They're available on the store as well. Omega Guard is what they're called. So omega-6 overload, think of this, omega-6 overload fuels inflammation. Okay. That fuels inflammation. And omega-3s restore balance, resilience, and communication in the body. Healthy fats are absolutely necessary. We are coming off of decades of fat-free diet culture that created an epidemic of obesity because fat-free means nutrient bankrupt. It means it has no nutrition in it. And we need fats. We need healthy fats for our brain, for our skin, for our hormones. So we're returning to fat, thank goodness, right here in the United States of America. Somebody who knows a lot about fat and beef coming up next here on Naturally Inspired Radio, Dean Lerwick, owner and operator of Pumpkin Creek Ranch. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com. Get 10% off your first order. We'll be right back with Dean Lerwick.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Welcome back. As promised, your favorite rancher is back with us. And that is Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek Ranch. Pop on over and check out the website, pumpkincreekranchco.com. Look at all their specials and all the things they have to offer. Dean, welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio today. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Good to be back.
I hear you got a little bit of rain in Nebraska yesterday, maybe? Just a little bit?
A little bit, enough to kind of settle the dust. Didn't really amount to a whole lot, but it sure did smell good.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I was talking to somebody in Nebraska last night, and they were telling me that. Well, I have been listening to some podcasts and trying to catch up on what's going on with ranching and farming. And there's a lot going on, but I did notice this theme. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the economics behind ranching and farming, because I don't think most people realize how much economics shape farming, especially when it comes to your decisions and whatnot as ranchers and farmers. So how do current policies, costs, and market pressure affect your operation? And how do those pressures influence the overall food supply?
Well, that's a big question.
I know. There's a lot of talk about economics right now when it comes to farmers. It seems like they're worried.
Well, it is concerning. We are currently in the middle of one of the, I shouldn't say one of, the best cattle market that we've ever had. Feeder calves, the calves that we'd be selling into either the feedlots or to go to grass, there's some of the prices are so high. I don't know how the people that are buying them are actually going to make it work. These cattle are crazy high. A month or two back, Trump made some comments about bringing some cattle in from Argentina, or importing beef, I should say. He didn't say cattle, he said beef. And it crashed the market, and everybody in ranch country was crying in their beer. And then less than a month later, we're back to setting records every week on sales across the country.
How much does it cost to raise one cow?
Well,
Or does it depend on the season, or is there too many variables?
Where you're at. So here's an example. Like for us in Western Nebraska, you can see typically if you're going to rent ground, not a lot of operations are run completely on owned ground. So if you're going to rent ground, then you're going to be charged typically for a pair, a mother and her calf, a certain price per month for full care. And those prices can range from the low end down in the lower $30, $32 to $35 per head per month. And so they can go upwards of $50 to $60 further east where the grass is better. It really depends on the pasture, the quality of it. And so you can generally expect, just in feed costs alone, you probably are going to be looking somewhere between $400 and $500 per year for a cow.
Okay.
Then you've also got your vet costs if you're having to treat that animal, or if you're, depending on what your vaccination program is, that could run $50 a head or so. Then you also would have your breeding cost. So if you're going to use artificial insemination, what we knew as AI for years, not the artificial intelligence type. Those prices could run over $100 an animal to get that cow bred. If you're going to run a bull, depends on how long that bull lasts, what your breeding costs are going to be, but then you have feeding costs for him as well. But that just is your feed and your direct production costs. You're not talking about the labor.
I was just going to say, I haven't heard you pay yourself yet.
Oh, we don't like to do that. Our ranches operate on slave labor.
Yeah.
We're the master and the slave.
You really got to be in it because you just love it. You just love the lifestyle. That's really, the more of you I talk to, you do got to love to do what you're doing, because it's not about getting rich at this, small operation level. It's about carving a space in the world for your lifestyle.
Yeah. And that's why most of us are involved in it. That's kind of the 30,000 foot view on the cattle side. But where we live and operate, we are constantly evaluating whether or not we should be growing grains on our farm, or we should be kicking over and planting more forages and running more cattle. Right now, the cattle are making far more money than any of the grains are. If you just take, for instance, wheat, dryland wheat in our area, we might be looking at 30 to 35 bushel per acre annual production, and with a price of right around $4, you're looking at about $120 an acre gross income off of that. And we've talked a lot about regenerative agriculture, and part of that idea is that you would look at things that you can do to restore your soil health. And so I went to the Acres USA conference this past December, and there was a lot of talk about some of these micronutrients that we could add that would, they'd be considered organic amendments, but micronutrients that we could add that would kind of kickstart some of this stuff. And so I just priced some recently, 20 pounds of sulfur, 3 pounds of boron, and 10 pounds of zinc, just real low levels. You wouldn't put those on every year.
Okay.
But that combination for that amount of minerals, so we're talking about a total of 35 pounds per acre of actual nutrient, was going to be $84 an acre. Well, if 30 bushel at $4, that's 120 gross income. Now, we'd expect that we'd get some increase in yield, but you can do the math. I'd have to increase my yield by 20 bushel to be able to break even on that. So that's kind of where the economics are right now. Really, in all reality, unless you're talking about cattle, it's hard to make much of the grain farming look profitable or appealing at all. That doesn't even begin to talk about the cost of equipment to
fuel,
to operate the farm, the fuel, all the inputs that you might be in a more conventional farm might be putting in. So it's a situation that probably the biggest problem is inflation. Our dollar holds no value anymore. And so when we go to look at replacing some of this equipment, we can't afford it. And that's why we are looking more and more seriously at, well, maybe we plant more forages and just graze cattle, because, I looked recently at replacing a combine, and it wouldn't have been a new combine by any means. We were just trying to trade down hours and to basically lower the number of because that's how, on a vehicle, it's miles. You got your odometer and you look at that as kind of to judge how old or how well used the piece of equipment or the vehicle is. On a combine, a tractor, that's a sprayer, it's hours, how many hours it's been in operation.
Got it.
So we were looking at reduced, trading into a combine with fewer hours on it. It was going to cost me almost $250,000 to trade down for a used machine. Now, keep in mind, these machines are pushing $1 million when they're brand new.
And does this stuff that Trump just did recently with tractor regulations, like pulling back some of the regulations, taking some of this, is this going to help the marketplace for equipment or not really?
It's going to help. The same thing that we argue about with the packing, with the consolidation, it's happened in equipment too. We've seen tractor company, equipment manufacturer after equipment manufacturer roll into ever bigger conglomerates. John Deere doesn't roll in new equipment, or they just buy the companies and then they repaint them as John Deere. Like Case back in the 90s, J.I. Case, and merged with International Harvester, so then it became Case IH, and they manufactured tractors for a while, and then New Holland and Case merged and they became C&H. And so we just see these merging more and more and more. And so every time you have one of those mergers or an equipment buyout, then you lose competition.
Yep.
And there was a lot of years that these dealerships or these equipment manufacturers would have a dealer in every small town. I mean, there was, back when my grandpa was farming here, we have, there was 6 or 7 small towns within 10, 12 miles of each other, spread up and down the North Platte River. And each one of those had a John Deere dealership. And so you could go and compare prices between the various dealerships, and there was actually some competition. Now there is one dealership, one John Deere dealership that covers a big chunk of western Nebraska, northeastern Colorado, western or eastern Wyoming. And the Case dealership is even worse, because you've got the local dealership is Titan Machinery for the Case tractors, and that dealership owns the dealerships across almost the entire state of South Dakota, a big chunk of Nebraska, most of North Dakota, and it goes into Iowa and Minnesota.
Wow.
My father-in-law farms in southwest Minnesota, and his local dealer, Case dealer, is Titan. They live over 500 miles away.
Wow. The centralization of everything is it's killing American culture. It's killing health, in my opinion, because the quality of our food is just absolutely terrible. And that's centralization too. Like it's just like, we need to go back to, everyone says progress, right? It's bigger, it's better, it's faster, it's cheaper, it's progress. We've really got to roll things back. We got to get back to, more dispersed operations throughout our communities.
Yeah. And you see on this new equipment, some of the things that in the farm country, it's kind of laughed at.
Laughable.
Well, when you add technology to tractors and combines, it drives the price up. And when you think about what happens when, like on your phones and everything else, you add technology and the technology improves, prices come down, the phone gets smaller, it gets more, same thing with computers. But if you put that same thing on a tractor or a combine, it drives the price up. And to the point now, they're trying to figure out ways to continue to increase the price of this equipment. There's tractors and combines with heated massaging seats, operator seats. Like, I mean,
it's more things that can go wrong. It's more things that can go wrong. That's why, like, these brand new cars, they freak me out a little bit, because not only are they tracking devices, but there's so much that can go wrong, and you can't fix it anymore yourself. Because you need diagnostics that, is another computer. So it really just like, I just keep it simple, man. Can we keep it simple? It's just overcomplication of everything. Everyone, visit pumpkincreekranchco.com. When we come back, we're going to be talking about specifics about Pumpkin Creek, and we're going to talk about what's driving the price of beef up a little bit more as well. I want to ask Dean what he thinks about the food pyramid change. We'll be right back, everybody. Stay tuned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Listen, no GMOs, no additives, just clean, award-winning beef. Beef you can trust and flavor you deserve. And guess what? You can get 10% discount off of your very first order. Pumpkin Creek ships all over the states. So pumpkincreekranchco.com. Visit there today. Listen, it is so important. I'm telling you all the time. The new organic, it's transparency. It really is transparency. Instead of looking for the label of organic, because like I've told you before, this label is not what it used to be. Look for transparency, and you can't get any more transparent than Pumpkin Creek Ranch. That's for sure. So visit pumpkincreekranchco.com today and check out all of their packages. Welcome back to the show, Dean. Jason actually had a question. He heard something about there being a recall out of Idaho on beef recently. Have you heard anything about that? And where do recalls usually come from? Is it a plant problem, a processing problem?
Yeah, usually. That's usually some sort of foodborne contamination that causes recalls. And typically, so that's part of being a USDA inspection facility or inspected facility. I mean, the inspector's primary job is to make sure that the animals that are coming through that plant that are slaughtered are healthy. That's their main concern. So if you end up with animals that were sick that entered the food supply, which would indicate that the problem comes from either the feeder or from the rancher, that's a failure of the inspector. Most of these food recalls are foodborne pathogens, and that is a problem, a breakdown in sanitation in the plant that leads to that. So
Can you get a little bit more specific about the cost? I know, you talked about equipment, you talk about the gas is coming down, so that's a good thing, right? But do you think that culture is pushing the price of beef up as well, given that a lot of people are starting to understand now that real food matters? Do you think that's a component of it, or do you think it's more on the other end that you talked about with cost of equipment and fuel and but we're at the highest point of beef I think we've ever been at, right? Cost of beef.
Yeah. We're kind of in a perfect storm right now for beef. And you touched on this a little bit earlier when you mentioned the food pyramid. We have the lowest number of cattle, cow herd size in the U.S. In something like 60 years. So we've got overall numbers are way down. The price reflects the demand. And keep in mind, we can talk all day long about what our production costs are. The market really doesn't care what our production costs are. I mean, we do, because that determines
That's
whether
your
or not we
life.
get but the market is based off of the futures market. And we've talked about that before. And generally that is supposed to reflect the overall supply and demand. It doesn't always, but that's generally the accepted idea there. But the price really, as far as our production costs, they don't really play into what the retail price is, or what the price that the packer is paying the rancher. Bottom line is, this is a supply and demand issue, and that's why it's kind of the perfect storm, because overall numbers are way off, and we also have a significant part of our population in this country is finally realizing that fat and protein are the key to good health. And we can talk about regenerative agriculture, we can talk about organic, and there's nothing wrong with moving in that direction. But I think there's a very compelling case to be made that if you just go to any grocery store, I don't care if it's Walmart or Safeway or Kroger's or whoever, and you start buying beef and you eat beef instead of your Pop-Tarts and your granola bars and all your processed food, that will do a substantial amount towards moving you towards good health. Now,
100%,
if you want to improve it even more, then you start looking at things like the regenerative production and the organic or grass-fed or whatever. But just that one step of replacing your Pop-Tarts with a hamburger without the bun, you're gonna improve your health. And we've got that dawning realization, I think, going across the population, that we've got to start eating more protein, and we see demand going up. But with cattle, if you breed a cow today, she's not going to have a calf for 285 days.
Yep.
Cows can have one calf per year. Sometimes they have twins. That's always a pain. But that's a reality. We don't typically have multiple births. And so the only way to grow that market, or that cow herd, then, is to retain those heifers in your breeding herd. You retain those heifers in your breeding herd, and that further reduces, in the immediate, it reduces the beef supply. And so you've got this kind of crunch going on we've got the reality of the physiology of the animal. We can't rapidly increase. If you're talking about a hog, they can have 9 to 12 pigs per litter, and they can have 2.5 litters per year. You can rapidly increase that, but you can't do that in the beef industry. It takes a full year, and
occasionally we lose one too in calving season. That's quite normal, right? So What should a consumer be looking for? There's a lot of people that are making the switch from grocery store beef. They understand the nutrient density of buying a higher quality beef. So as a consumer, I know, you do this for a living, but pretend you were just a consumer and you were looking for certain things to buy direct from a rancher. What would you be looking for?
Well, you touched on it earlier. I'd want transparency. You can have the ideal, and the ideal is that these animals are grass fattened. They're not gamey. They've got the nice beef flavor. They have a very diverse diet of forbs and grasses that would be they wouldn't have any added fertility. You wouldn't have a bunch of herbicides sprayed on them or anything like that, so that you have the best chance of increasing your phytonutrients in your beef. You'd have lower omega-6 to omega-3 ratios because of the higher levels of grass in the diet. Those are all things that would be ideal. I think, though, if you just start with, I want to get acquainted with my rancher,
yeah,
and you establish that personal relationship so that you can start understanding what they're doing and why they're doing it. I think that's the first step. And whether it's with us or with another local producer, opening up that line of communication, I think is probably the most important thing. And then that will allow you to look at production practices and decide for yourself which ones really are critical for you as a consumer. Maybe flavor, maybe taste, maybe tenderness.
Mm-hmm.
Those things might be the most critical thing for you. And so you find somebody that fits that bill. Maybe the production practices, maybe it has to be grass-fed regardless of what it tastes like. I shouldn't say grass-fed, grass-finished, because there's a difference. There is a difference there. Maybe that's critical for you. And really it comes down to what your personal, driving factors would be, as far as who you're going to choose or select as your rancher. Bottom line, though, is I don't care where your beef comes from. If you eat beef instead of your processed foods, your health is going to improve. There's obviously now take it to the next step and start single sourcing your beef or paying a little bit more attention to quality, and you'll soon learn that grocery store beef isn't the same thing as single source. So there's a lot to gain there.
Yeah, one step at a time. I mean, for some people, I think they're still overcoming the old narrative that, red meat is bad and that fat causes cardiovascular disease. So we're making vast strides in health these days with the current administration and whatnot. But direct to consumer, we've got to support this. Listen, if you're listening to this is something that we must support, because if we don't support direct to consumer and small ranches, we'll lose them. And Dean, what would be the impact of losing small ranches?
Well, personally, it would be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole family would be looking for somewhere else to live. But you lose institutional knowledge. And I think that is probably the biggest problem, because, homesteads, great, but when you're starting from scratch, you have to learn all the mistakes that frankly, I have about 150 years of my ancestors that I'm following on, and I'm building on what they built. Now, if you don't have that, start from scratch, and there'll be people willing to help you. But the small ranch and farms, that's the family farm.
Absolutely. Everyone, please visit pumpkincreekranchco.com. Check out their packages of beef. For me as a consumer, and let's face it, I think all of you listening too, quality matters. Right? Quality for your health, but also for your taste buds. You want to put something on your table every day that you're proud of, that you went the extra mile to provide a nutritious meal for your family. And you're also supporting these small ranches because we need them. I mean, they are a must. They are our American culture. We've been talking a lot about American culture on this show lately, Dean. And we thank you for what you do. Thanks so much for being on Naturally Inspired Radio today. Thanks, everybody. Please visit pumpkincreekranchco.com. Get 10% off your first order.